Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome news show. All kind of stuff going on this week. We'll talk about craziness in the real estate market, some good news, some bad news. We'll talk about just overall what's going on in general, what the brand new market numbers for anybody that missed last week's show. We'll just look at, hey, what's happening here in Myrtle Beach and the Grand Strand. We'll look at some of the good news, which is that prices increased month over month. We'll talk about that, kind of what that means. But we've really seen a very, very hot spring market this year and an earlier than normal spring to summer market. So we're very, very thankful for that. We'll talk about that. And just some big news in general overall in terms of real estate. We'll look at the macro market in terms of national numbers. We haven't really done that in a while. We'll just kind of look at what's going on nationally. Some great data, great reports came out recently that just broke down what's happening in terms of inventory, what's happening in terms of homes. One of the data points is that homes are taking a lot longer to sell nationally. And obviously has to do with interest rates going up and less buyers buying. And so that means the agent you choose matters even more than ever. And we'll talk about that as well. Also, some absolute lunacy going on right now in the Biden administration in terms of real estate. Just some new rule out recently. We'll talk about this, and it's really going to affect home buyers and home sellers in terms of the real estate market. Has to do with the mortgage rates, and we'll talk about that. The actual headline from the article is Biden to punish good credit home buyers to subsidize high-risk mortgages, and we'll talk about that. And basically, anybody with good credit and a lot more money down payment are going to have to pay an extra percentage to help subsidize people that have low money down and low credit. So very, very interesting, unprecedented, and it's got a lot of uproar right now in the industry. We'll talk about what that means for you, what that means for home sellers, because less buyers are going to buy. And we'll talk about what that means overall. And a couple of things we had on last week's show we just didn't get a chance to get to was Myrtle Beach named a top spot for second homes and retirees on the very, very high ranking on the national stage, which is awesome. And so we're very thankful for that because a lot of people coming down here. Also, some amazing success stories. Our team's in absolutely crushing it, both single families, commercial, condos, multifamily. And so we'll talk about those success stories. A lot of great info we'll go through today.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. If you just tuned in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. You may be seeing him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends with Morning Show. You've heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LaVox. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing, but the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Absolutely. Like I said, I made a promise to talk about this every week because I see horror story after horror story after horror story. And so it's really the main reason I do the show to help people from making the same mistakes over and over that I see. I'm talking like horrible stories every week in our industry, in our business, and things that we see in terms of just absolute terrible quality of representation, both on the listing side and the buyer side. And so the big mistake everyone makes is thinking that real estate agents are the same, and it could not be any further from the truth. And just like any doctor, any lawyer, recently just kind of really had a lot of connection with, just like any waiter or waitress, right? You've been to a restaurant, you have phenomenal, amazing service and amazing experience, but you go to a same restaurant or even a different restaurant, you have absolutely horrible, horrendous service, and the experience is not good at all. It's the same exact thing in terms of real estate. And the reason is you're dealing with people, right? It's a service-based business. And so the reality is people just make this mistake of grouping all real estate agents together as a commodity. And it's not the case at all. It's actually way different than that. Just like any doctor or lawyer, like I mentioned, if you're charged with a crime you didn't commit, I don't want a part-time attorney who's only tried 3 or 4 cases in last year, right? I want the absolute best, most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law. And you should demand that same level of excellence for your largest assets, which is real estate. And so everyone wants the cheapest realtor or the realtor who they were referred to by their friend, and they make this mistake and they think they had success in selling their home, but they didn't realize they left $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. And I see these instances literally every single week. And so I want to share that. I made a promise to share on the show. I said, look, if I have one purpose from the show, it's to help people wake up and understand, like, look, the agent you choose matter. And the fact is, the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing and one thing only, period. And that thing is the agent that you choose. And so it comes down to, how does the agent you have actually execute? Just like if you have a waiter or waitress, right? How do they execute from A to Z? It's the same thing with agents. The problem is, in our industry here locally, the average agent sells 4 homes a year. That's 1 per quarter. There's not a whole lot of money for them to even eat with and have, eat out at a restaurant, much less spend on your marketing on your home. But the problem on top of that is they're not having that much experience in selling 1 home every 3 months on average. And so what happens is details get missed, balls get dropped, and it costs you your hard-earned equity. We talk about that all the time, is that people spend 20, 30 years building their hard-earned equity, but 5, 10 minutes picking a real estate agent. And they don't even know how to pick an agent or even what questions to ask. And so the reality is, the agent you choose matters. And the reason that is when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, it puts money in your pocket, the property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point. That could be anything from the price strategy, the quality of the photos, the order of the photos. Does your agent actually answer the telephone when a buyer calls the for sale sign? Does your agent even, I had recent examples where the agent couldn't afford a for sale sign to put in the yard, so the property sat there with no for sale sign for 6 months. And there's all these things that happen over and over and stack up. And so what happens is 1 or 2 balls get dropped. You don't realize you just left $30, $40, $50,000 on the table. And so what we found was most agents just operate the same way, right? They do the 3, we call it the 3 Ps. They promise you the world to get the listing. I mean, they tell you anything and everything, including lying to you, to get that listing because they're trying to survive. And the second thing they do is they put it into MLS, and 3, they just pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing because that's how you have to survive in the business. And here's the deal. That's not necessarily the best result for the consumer and you getting your household. And so I got in the business and said, look, there's got to be a better way. I grew up in it. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, entire family grew up, watching them happen. I got in business and saw that everyone was doing things the same way. And so there's got to be another way. And I looked at what people did outside of real estate and said, how can we bring a systemized approach that's proven repeatable like other businesses and bring that to real estate? And that's exactly what we did. And I started out, designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. And so it breaks down how you sell properties faster and for more money by proactively managing all those 118 different variables by using 2 main things. The first thing is people, a team of people who actually execute, because here's the deal. It's impossible for one single agent to execute on 118 different variables on just one listing. The problem is now they're taking 3 and 4 listings, and guess what? The ball gets dropped on your house because they're trying to get the lowest hanging fruit. And so what we did is we also backed it up by technology with systems and processes, so the right thing happens in the right order, backed up with a team of people, and that's how you manage those variables. And so what we do there is stack the dominoes on your favor or in your favor. And so we make sure we manage the variables at point 1, at point 2, and point 3. And these small gaps and these small instances stacked up over 118 different variables create a massive gap between us and the competition and give you, the client, a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And that's how you sell faster for more money. And so I just talk about that every week because it's the whole purpose behind the show. It's the biggest mistake. I even have people who listen to this show, they go with just some random old agent, right? Make decisions based on the wrong items, the wrong terms, and ultimately it costs them a lot of headache. Or what worst case scenario is, your property actually sells, but you left your hard-earned equity on the table. And so you owe it to yourself not to have that happen. Here's the deal, though. On the flip side, for buyers, it's a very difficult market, and there's 100+ variables to manage on the buy side. And so the agent you choose matters there as well, and it comes down to how they actually execute in giving you the client competitive advantage. So we designed a system for the buyers out there called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives priority access to foreclosures, distressed sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as negotiation and then home inspection to get you that closing table successfully, and to also make sure to represent you after closing to make sure you're taking care of the entire time you own the home. So if you want to know more how that works, reach out to us, reach out to my website, blakesloan.com, or call us anytime at 843-808-SOLD.
So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home right now, every detail means dollars, and who you hire to negotiate your home, that really matters. Hey, Sean Hannity here, and as an active investor who invests in real estate all across the great country of ours, I want the best negotiator representing my interests. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. They can help you navigate through multiple cash offers, and more importantly, he has turned complicated situations into 5-star reviews. Now check out his rave reviews on Google,
Talk to him yourself. If you are on trial with big money at stake, you would want a seasoned negotiator with thousands of victories. If they will take you on and you can afford them, right? Well, your home deserves the best representation. Know your options. See how much demand your home can command in this market right now and get the best representation that you deserve. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Barber. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers that time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for help, or even rent.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market alert. All kind of great stuff going on. I tell you, we had a phenomenal week the last 7 days in terms of real estate. One thing we've been doing for a while, since COVID really, is tracking the real-time numbers every single day in my office. And there's two types of numbers, right? I call them the front windshield numbers, which is, hey, what's happening right in front of me right now? And the rear view mirror numbers, that's what everyone else uses, which is like the close numbers. And so we had great news on both of those recently. If you remember listening to the show for a while, every 7 days, I track a couple main metrics. I look every 7 days, how many properties went under contract here on the Grand Strand. I track how many properties are active for sale. And I also track how much volume was sold. And so anytime we're at 200 million sold in the last 7 days is a phenomenal, unbelievable, great week. We'll take that. That means the market's rock and rolling, right? So the good news is the last 7 days, $218,303,222. So absolutely crushing it versus last week. A 16.5% increase week over week. And so if you look at last week's show, it was actually 211 million. Right now, 218 million, which is awesome. Look at the actual units under contract. 588 this week, 546 last week, a 15.4% increase week over week. And here it is. That's hot spring market I was talking about. Mentioning this for a few weeks now, is that everyone's coming in town. We had spring break. We have everyone who's been really, I guess you say, just stalking properties for months at a time up north. They're coming down, they're doing their vacation, their little getaway, and they're buying at the same time. Many of our clients are down here saying, look, we're buying something before we go back home. Our agents been working around the clock really through the week to keep up with that, which has been awesome news. Looking at some of the big properties too, a huge increase as well. In the last 7 days, there have been 18 properties for over $1 million going to contract. Last week's show, there was only 9 properties, so it doubled, which is awesome. Properties over 500,000 when under contract, 92 in the last 7 days, and last week's show was 81. So great news overall. Inventory's down a little bit just because you saw a big run, right? You see a 16% increase in volume, a 15% increase in units. It's going to eat up some of that inventory. And so this week, active inventory, single family homes for sale in Horry County right now, 833 active. Last week's show was only as 842 active. So about 9 properties different overall. But the reality is you're actually, 11 properties different. So that's not that much difference, though. The main thing I really saw there, the 2 key numbers week over week, which is very powerful. And our team felt this as well. 15.4% increase in units, 16% increase in volume. There's a lot of people buying right now, which is great news for us overall. Again, if you go back to January, we're looking at 364 under contract for 125 million. So really almost $100 million difference in a 7-day period here on the Grand Strand, because Myrtle Beach is really a hot place. We had a lot of people this past week reach out to our office who are coming, we call them halfbacks, right? They go all the way down to Florida and come halfway back. And that's something that we had 2 this week call. They moved down to Florida. It's too far from the grandkids, too far from their family. And so they came halfway back. They're able to find something that's much more affordable. And we're seeing that a lot right now. And so what that means is Myrtle Beach is a hot spot. Very thankful for that. Right now, check this out. Looking at the overall MLS numbers, great numbers month over month. If you look at last month, there was 477 properties that closed, which is awesome for single-family resale homes. It's a 32% drop from last year. But here's the great point. It's a 39% increase from the previous month. And so what that means is we had a very rough February. March really came back with a vengeance at 477 properties. So here's the deal. Looking at February, only 321 properties closed. We saw that hotness come back in January, February. We talked about that. Rates went back down below 7%. Buyers are jumping back in. So right now, we saw a huge jump month versus month from 321 in February to 477 in March, which is great news. A 39% increase month versus month in sales. And that's going to really continue up with prices as well. If you look at prices right now for resale homes, they're up year over year 4.2%, which is awesome. So if you look at March 2022 versus March 2023, up 4.2% right now at $369,900, which is awesome. Average sale price down 3.8%. From last year, but the reality was that's because March was the highest peak for sales, and then April is one of the highest months for actual price, because price is always a lagging indicator. So last year, April, overall average sale price 488, 186. Right now we're at 443. If you go to March of last year, it was 460, 734. Right now it's 443. But the good news is it bumped back up from February. February average sale price 430,000 up to 443. I think we'll see that bump back up again this month, just because you saw a significant increase in sales last month, almost 40%, 39% increase month versus month, which is a huge run on the inventory. And what that means is going to drive up price, and that's what means sellers are going to get more money. And that's one of the tricks that we use to get our clients more money, because we watch the real-time data. And so when I see data like that real time, I can make adjustments and be more aggressive. And that's the difference, another $10,000, $20,000 in your pocket as a home seller. And that's why you want somebody who's really in the market, who's advanced, and who's a top producer. We're selling 2 to 3 homes a day right now. The average agent sells 1 per quarter. And so you can see how understanding that feel of the market, that data, allows us to take more risk for our clients, sometimes push the price higher, and allows us to sell the property for more money, and many times much faster, because our reach that we have is national and also obviously global. So also inventory is a key number here. Inventory is still very, very low historically. Right now we're at 2.6 months of inventory. Anything below 6 months is a seller's market, meaning they have the advantage. It is up year over year 160%, but still 2.6 months is a super seller's market. Very, very low overall. Into condo sales down 31.1% year over year, but very similar to we saw in the single families. Huge jump month versus month. So in February, 369 closed condos. In March, 554. So huge jump in terms of month versus month. Almost an identical curve in the graph that we saw for single families. Median price up 9.5% year over year at $230,000. We're seeing a lot of people buy condos now just simply because they've been priced out of what's available for the single family homes. Also, average sale price looking very good, up 4.6% year over year at $264,587. And supply is at 2.2 months. So it's actually trending down right now. It's at 2.4 months in January, 2.3 months in February, and 2.2 months right now. And so very, very low. I do think we'll see that continue to decline, without something major happening in terms of interest rates or government, which we'll talk about that in a minute. So right now, what's really helping the housing market, interest rates are back below 7. They've been bouncing around the last really week or so. Last week's show was 6.18%. Right now, a 30-year fixed 6.67%, which is very, very good. Under 7, I'll take that. A 15-year fixed rate right now, 6.05. A 30-year jumbo, 6.20%. A 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 6.8%. A 30-year FHA, 6.25%. And 30-year VA loan is 6.24%. So we're still below 7 for now. I do find that's a threshold, which really kind of backs a lot of buyers off. Everyone is saying that we'll probably continue to see rates rise. And so if you're thinking about moving or thinking about selling, you want to take advantage of that now before it gets too high and it gets a lot of buyers to hold off. And if you're thinking about buying, take action now. Get that rate locked in so you can get in and really get in and get the absolute best value. So we'll take a quick break, right back in a second.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan.
10 minutes.
Sloan Realty.
Talk about,
I'll probably skip that last commercial.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing that Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot buyers alert. My team now working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers looking for homes here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area, $250,000 up to $4.3 million. And those are actual buyers. We've done this for a while now. Everybody asks us, what makes you different than anyone else? And the difference is we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. Because of the business model I designed, it gives us a massive competitive advantage. I can outspend them because here's the deal. We have buyers come in from all across the globe, and our team sells them properties. Worst case scenario, we sell them something else in the MLS. Best case scenario, we sell them our own client, our own seller's property. We get both sides of commission because guess what? That's what I'm in business to do, is make money and sell people's houses, right? My job is to match up buyers and sellers, and we're very, very, very good at that. Now, the reality is what that does is it stacks up buyers because we've been doing this for years and years and years. We're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month, every single month, generating buyers from around the globe. And so the problem I have is we're very low in inventory. We need properties to sell. And so if you know anyone out there thinking about selling, have them reach out to us. The actual count, one thing we've been doing for a very long time is sharing the active buyer count every week on the show. And right now in our system right here with active buyers, meaning username, password, account, they search the site, active home buyers right now on our site, 71,936 active home buyers. Again, that's 71,936 active home buyers. Like right now, I got John and Melissa Taylor from Pine Bush, New York. I got Bonnie from Cabot, Arkansas. I got Daniel Ruiz from Danvers, Massachusetts. I got Justine from Myrtle Beach. I got John from Houston, Texas. I got Cynthia from Laurel, Maryland. I got Germantown, Maryland, Gardner, Massachusetts, Lynchburg, Virginia, Ocean Isle Beach, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Conway, South Carolina. So we have them all over the place, and a lot in New York City, Somerset, New Jersey, Bronx, New York, Miller Place, New York, New York, New York. And so we've tapped it online to tap into where, hey, look, where are the buyers coming from with the most amount of money? I noticed they're coming from the Northeast. So we geo-target them to really lock them in online, and then we funnel them to our properties. And obviously, we do our job, which is to share them with them, with our sellers, but at the same time, we serve them at the highest level, which works out for everyone, which is what you want somebody to do who's tenacious, who's aggressive in what they do. So if you know anybody out there selling, if you're thinking about selling, they smell like real estate, they mention anything real estate, say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake. That's one of the main reasons to the show too, is just hopefully get the good word out. Hopefully if you have anybody you come across in your sphere of influence and they mention real estate, do me a favor, say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake. We're very, very proud of that and very thankful for getting those. And that brings us on to awesome success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it through this. Really quick one. Robert and Bonnie recently decided they wanted to move to a different area, a little more quieter. The place was North Carolina. They owned a home in Little River. They needed to sell, though, before they could buy their new home they were building in North Carolina. Robert and Bonnie's biggest concern was selling their current home before their new home in North Carolina was built, but they had to close on one before they closed on the other. Thankfully, Robert and Bonnie saw our Sloan Group's 800 plus 5-star reviews online, decided to give us a call. After meeting with Sloan, they were blown away and very confident they could achieve their goals. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtuality walkthrough. Robert and Bonnie had a fantastic offer in their home with more money than they even thought possible, that we were able to sync up with the exact closing date of their new home when it was finished. Now they're able to move on, put maximum equity in their pocket, which is super awesome. And one more I want to share that's super awesome. I want to talk about is Mark and Mary were selling a property. They had a renter in there. They went in, basically got destroyed. They fixed it up. And thankfully, though, they referred to us by an amazing radio listener. We show them how we have tons of buyers looking for their property just like theirs, design a custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz with massive traffic within 24 hours, had 50 showings, 12 offers, sold the house $25,500 over asking price, which was tens of thousands of dollars above what they even thought they'd get for their home. And so that's just another one of the massive success stories we've had, which we're very proud of overall in terms of that. I've been doing that on both sides, actually buyer side, seller side, and that's just something that we're super proud of as well. So that's very thankful. If you know anyone out there thinking about selling, have them reach out, call us overall. One thing I wanted to get to, right? Some big news here that we have. Two main things. We'll talk about the overall marketplace, macro market. One thing we'll talk about, here's some interesting numbers nationally. The number of homes for sale increased 59.9% compared to last year in March. But here's the crazy part. There were 20% less listings listed in March. So how does that possible? So 20% less new listings put on the market in March. That's just because less sellers are selling. That means many of them are just locked in at low interest rates. But why is inventory as a whole increased nationally 59.9%? The reality is, and the reason is, homes are staying on the market longer. And this is what the national article says from Realtor.com, which is one of the things they have. They have a great data source, and they really kind of dig into what it talks about. It just says home sellers are less active this March, with 20.1% fewer homes being listed for sale for last year, right? Median sales price year over year increased 6.3% annually, which is great. Homes spent 54 days in the market on average nationally, which is 18 days longer than last year. But the reality is the key number there is that the number of homes for sale increased by 59.9% year over year, and that the total number of unsold homes, including homes that are in contract, increased 9.3% year over year. And it talks about the main reason why is that properties are staying on the market longer, because here's the deal, there's just less buyers. And so what that means is, in the old days last year, you have any agent list your property, put some cell phone photos on there and get it sold, right? It was a pure frenzy. The frenzy's gone now as rates have gone up, interest rates have doubled. And so right now you want to make sure you have an agent who can differentiate the property. We're using home staging, professional photography, virtual reality walkthroughs, all these things that get you extra exposure, because you have to realize your first showing happens online, which is why your marketing matters more than ever, because there's less buyers in the marketplace. Just like here locally, 33% less homes sold than last year. There's less buyers out there, meaning it's more competitive. And so if you want to really dig into that, more than happy to send you those numbers. Reach out to me in our office. We share that data with all our sellers as well. Really quick, got 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left. Awesome. Wanted to talk about this. This is a shocking industry really right now. It just talks about some new mortgage rate structure rules that came out Fannie and Freddie. Right now, it just talks about, and I gave you the headline earlier, Biden to punish good credit home buyers to subsidize high risk mortgages. And what's happening is they're going to basically charge a 1% surcharge for credit scores 740 or higher, their FICO score, and if they have a 15 to 20% down payment. On the flip side of that, what that does is it subsidizes anybody, this is absolutely crazy, with a 679 credit score or below, and putting 5% down or less gets a 1.75% fee discount. Now, what that does is that's really going to create a massive problem in terms of, it de-incentivizes people to have good credit, and all these hardworking Americans who've done the right thing, who've kept up with payments, who saved up their nest egg to get this property, are now being penalized with a 1% surcharge on their loan. They talked about, for a $400,000 loan, it's about $40 a month, or $14,000 extra dollars over the life of a 30-year loan, just by doing that. Now, I talked to my mortgage guys this morning, really kind of dug into this, and they really were having some issues nationally getting that implemented. And so there was a internal memo that he sent me that said they're probably going to push that back to August 1st right now as of that. And so it was supposed to start May 1. So here's the deal. If I'm a home seller, I want to get my house to the market earlier than normal. And if I'm looking to buy, I may want to get that earlier than normal, especially if I have a good credit score over 740 and I'm looking to put 15, 20% down, which is the smart thing to do. And so just absolute chaos here in terms of what's happening in the industry, people talking about that. But I do think it's obviously going to de-incentivize some people, because here's the deal. Interest rates have already doubled since last year. We've seen a lot of buyers pump the brakes. And so that, in my opinion, is going to harm us here in terms of the housing market. I was absolutely shocked. I had to read it 3 times and make sure that was exactly what was happening. And there's all kind of experts in the marketplace right now just saying, look, this is not the way to do this. I understand what they're trying to do is get more low-income people into the marketplace. It's not affordable, but the reality is punishing people who've worked hard, who've gotten their credit score up, who've managed a credit score, save 15, 20%. It's not the type to punish these people with a 1% surcharge. And so that's very scary out there. And so if you're thinking about selling, take advantage of that right now. If you're thinking about buying, that means time is of the essence. Like I mentioned, my mortgage guys, they probably to push that back through to August 1st, but that's the insider info right now I've gotten. So if you want to know more about that, reach out. We're here to serve you. We have one main goal in this, to give you value. And if you have anything real estate related, reach out to myself, my office. We've been doing this for a long time, and you can always go back, watch these shows on YouTube, on Facebook, and just search Blake Sloan Radio, and we'll see you back here next week at the same time.